with another hopefully quick video. I want to bring up this topic, and I've talked about it a couple times, but ageism in the workplace and how that plays out when you're a job seeker. So you are an older worker, or if you want to say seasoned or more experienced person, and you're finding yourself back in a workplace. I've talked to plenty of people in this who were in this boat in 2020, and they're dealing with a different set of challenges in comparison to someone that's just getting started in their career, or maybe they just have maybe 5 years, or they're kind of in their mid career, like someone like me, and they find a totally different set of challenges, and hearing things like you're too experienced, or falling into I guess this trap of these common myths or stereotypes about older workers. So I want to address that today. And hello, Daphne. I see you here. Welcome. Happy Friday. Hello, Short Bus. Welcome in. How are you? Happy Friday to you as well. So I'm going to make this pretty quick. I basically want to talk about a few things high level that I feel as a recruiter and working in the human resources space will benefit the older worker or also job seeker. So I'm going to talk about those, and I do want to highlight, I found there's plenty of articles that talk about ageism and different myths or stereotypes about essentially older workers. And so I want to highlight some of those and talk about them in this video. So the first thing, really, ageism, that is based on bias. So everyone has biases. We know this. Sometimes it's a really good thing to have biases. Sometimes it can be not a great thing to have biases, but we all have them. And so when it comes to older workers, we're thinking about stereotypes that specifically address someone that is older. So things that we have already built in our mind when it comes to someone that is older. So in general, we think we have common stereotypes about older people, like thinking about healthcare, like they may need more or run into health issues, for example. So we'll talk about some of those myths, and we'll talk about what are some things you can do as a job seeker. So first off, I'll get started with just someone that's an older worker. What are some things that you should be considering as you're looking for a job? And the first thing and I talk about it often, but the first thing that I would consider if I were an older worker, and when I say older, I'm probably talking about someone that has 20 years of experience, 15, 20 years of experience, and maybe beyond that. So they're very, very well seasoned in their career. The first thing is to remove your photo from your resume. If you're considering that you may have some bias because you're an older worker, you're not going to want to put that on display on your resume. And your resume is what you're using when you're proactively applying to a specific job. Now, this is different from LinkedIn. With LinkedIn, that is a networking community. People want to see your face. That's completely different. You're not typically, now I know sometimes you can use your LinkedIn to apply for jobs, but typically in most large companies, most that are really cognizant of what it means to have biases, they're going to follow the apply online using your resume and sometimes a cover letter versus LinkedIn. So that's the first thing, removing your picture from your resume, and also along with that, removing any demographics information. You don't want to start your resume by saying, here's an overview about myself. I'm 55 years old and I was in the military back in 1982 and da da da. You don't need to tell that story. We'll get to know you. The resume is just an advertisement. So if you're worried about ageism playing out in your job search, you don't want to add your photo. You don't want to add specific demographic information. Now, getting into that, dates. dates. You don't want to highlight that you went to school or college back in 1975. And I'm completely making up these dates. But what that does is it immediately, even if I'm not consciously thinking about a person's age, and as a recruiter, I don't want to do that. I don't want to see pictures. I don't want to know any information that will have me, thinking of in these biases. I just want to kind of know what is relevant to the job that you're applying to, and do you have that skill set? So dates. And I see this often, putting that date on your education. Just remove the date. It's great that you have the education, but I don't need to know when you graduated unless you want to highlight that you've done something recently. And really, with education for someone, when you're an older worker, like you've had that experience, you don't need to highlight your education. The education, yes, it backs you up, but normally we see that people lead with their education when they don't have work experience. Now, this is someone maybe coming right out of high school, coming right out of college. They don't have a lot of work experience they can pull from, but what they can say is, I've learned all these things. I have this GPA. I have this, I was a part of this academic program, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And they lean more in their school education. When you're an older worker, you don't need that. You have the experience, which is the ideal. So jump right into the experience. So when you're writing your resume, you want to highlight what is that recent experience you have that relates to the job at hand. You don't need to lead with your education. You can definitely put your education on your resume. I definitely want you to do that. But you can put it at the bottom of your resume because it's not as important. And hello, Sharky. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hi, LaTanya. Welcome in. Nice to see you guys. Okay, and Short Bus is saying facts. Love it. Thank you. So, okay, the other thing that I want to highlight when it comes to your experience. With your experience, you really don't need to highlight everything you've ever done in life. And when I say this, I'm not trying to take away from any work experience you have, but there's some things that you want to avoid adding your resume. For example, where you worked in high school. If you have 5+ years of experience and that high school experience does not relate to what you're doing right now, remove it. If you had a change in industry, let's say you worked in accounting and then you moved to IT, you don't necessarily need to include that accounting experience if you actually have legitimate experience within IT. Let's say you worked 5 years in accounting back in 1999. But for the past 10 years, you have been working in, you've been working in human resources. Well, you don't really need that prior experience, and that immediately is going to date you. Someone's immediately going to know, okay, they were working here in 1999. Well, they're that age. We don't even have to literally think about it, but subconsciously we're going to know. We're immediately just going to know. We don't even have to think about it. So you don't need to include that. Include the relevant experience that you're actually going to talk about, as long as you can go back maybe 7 years. Typically background screenings or, recruiters and hiring managers, they're going to ask you about probably the most 7 to maybe 10 years of experience. And it's typically lined up with your background screen. So the background check is most likely you're submitting information on your most recent work experience. So you don't need to include way back, long time ago, I used to work as a nanny in 2001. You don't need it if it's not relevant. So the last point I have before I get into some of these common myths that you want to talk about once you're actually talking to someone about a job is you want to stick to 2 pages or less when it comes to your resume. I say this a lot on this channel. Recruiters do not like to read. Most people do not like to read, especially when we have like 100 more applications that we need to get through. We do not want to read your 10 pages of your life journey. And that's beautiful. I'm sure you had an amazing life. You had amazing work experience, but we do not want to read it. We want to get to the gist. Like, what are the relevant aspects of your experience? Or of your, if it's education and you don't have that as much experience, maybe you're moving into a new industry, what is it that you have and that you've learned or that you've experienced that relates to the job? So you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need 10 pages. Stick to 2. If you cannot get your resume to 2 pages, at the most, talk to someone, have someone else review it, and most likely someone else can trim it down for you, because as people, we think every single thing that we've done is relevant to whatever job we're applying for. However, if you talk to a recruiter, you talk to someone who works in HR, you talk to a career consultant, they will tell you, they will be able to help you kind of trim it down a bit so that you can get to the real information that the recruiter needs, and that's really going to sell you in the best light. Okay, so I want to get into these myths because there's a couple articles I found that talk about, and I've seen them kind of here and there talking about everything that's wrong with older workers. And in my opinion, I think there's a lot of great things that come with older workers that people don't highlight as much. So the first myth is that they can't learn new things or they're unwilling to learn new things. I do not think that's true. However, I want to talk about how you can go beyond this type of stereotype that most likely people may think. So, older workers have been found to have lots of experience adapting to new tools, environments, or working practices. And this is an article that's trying to dispel some of these common myths. But a lot of hiring managers naturally think that older professionals don't really want to learn as much as someone that is coming right out of the gate, because if you're someone that's new, you haven't had the experience, well, you have no option but to learn. You don't know anything yet. You have to learn and you're moldable, and hiring teams really like that. So what someone that is in this bucket of people, your older professional, can do is actually talk about, and you can actually highlight in your resume as well, ways that you've been able to take on new challenges, learn new things, learn new technologies. If there are systems that are newer, put those on your resume if you've learned how to use them. And also any certifications and things like that, any continuous learning that you're doing. That would be when I would include some education. Like if some recent, like you've recently gotten your graduate degree, include it on your resume, of course. If you've gotten new certifications in something, include that on your resume, of course. So these are some of the, small ways that you can show even on your resume that you're a continuous learner. And then when you're actually speaking to someone, have specific scenarios ready that you can talk about where you have gone out of your way to learn something new. And hello, Zero, welcome in. Nice to see you. Yes, Latanya, TGIF. It is Friday. Okay, so the next thing is that they're saying here they're less productive. This is more of an energy, like older workers are seen to have less energy. Not true, but it's a common myth. So how do you get away from that type of thinking? Well, you should have instances where you have been able to kind of go above and beyond what your role intended. Like you did something beyond your task. That's a great show of, being energetic and motivated. During your interview, you're smiling, you're showing your high energy, you're engaging, all of these things that show that you are engaged and you're energetic and you're motivated, and you're actually telling the person who's interviewing you, who you're talking with, about your interests, things that you're excited to do when you start the job, things of that nature. Those are some of the things that you can share during your interview. Okay, so that and of course, in every instance, you're not going to get away from these biases, but it should help. And that's really the point of this video. The next stereotype or the myth, they take more time off sick. Now, I want to highlight that there's a study. This was kind of highlighted by this article from theconversation.com. So they're saying that research has shown this to be an inaccurate assumption. So another myth. On average, it's true that older workers tend to take more time off on long-term sickness, but they also take less time off due to short-term sickness with no notice. Older workers are also at lower risk of accidents in the workplace, but suffer from fatal accidents. This averages out to be a similar amount of sickness time taken for all employees. There are also strategies we can use to improve the health of the workforce at all ages. And yeah, so, with healthcare, that's a natural thought that you're going to have, is that older people may take more time off, or they may be ready to even retire, which is another thing that's brought up. I think with that one, it's just difficult to get away from. You're not going to really talk about your health during an interview. However, please also know that questions around your healthcare or your health, or if you're going to be retiring soon, should not be asked during an interview. Like, you do not have to talk about those type of things. So I'll just kind of leave it at that, but you do not have to address those type of questions. Those are definitely inappropriate. And then the last thing is that they are overqualified for the job. And with this, my best piece of advice, or my thinking, if I were older professional, would be actually sharing that you can learn a lot from the job. Like, there are things that you are going to actually grow from within this job. Like, it's not kind of taking away that thought that you're going to be bored in the job. And that's a lot of what I've heard from hiring managers. They're worried. It's not that, like, they're saying overqualified. It's not just the thought of being overqualified. It's more of what's going to happen within 6 months when this person is working in this job. Or is this person really going to like the job that they're doing? Is this person going to thrive in the role? If someone's bored at work, if they are not being, I guess, challenged, and it's really not the best role for them, that can cause a lot of issues. It can cause a lot of issues with even other people. It can actually kind of ruin their quality of work as well, because they're not going to be as motivated. So that's a concern. So I think the best way to address it is to identify ways or things that you're actually going to learn, challenges that will be, brought on for you in the role, and really just ease all of those concerns that you're going to be bored in this role and ready to take. And I think a lot of people think this too. The hiring managers may think, oh, they're going to want to take my job, right? They're going to get bored with that. They're overqualified. Like, they're going to want to take my job. I think easing those concerns and really highlighting what you really like about that job opportunity, and easing concerns by saying, this is kind of where I see myself maybe a year out, 2 years out, to kind of ease that. I'm not looking to take on your role. I see myself in this role, or see myself in the next, promotion, which is this. I think that eases a lot of that concern of, this person's going to be bored. This is not the right role for them. They can't grow into this role. What are they going to learn? But if you come ready to talk about it based on what you have learned about the job yourself, and you can talk about, these are the ways I can grow. This is what I can do in this role. This is why I'm excited to be in this specific role. I think that will help. So that's just coming from my experience as well, working in HR, talking with many older workers, and also hiring managers, where they have all of these different concerns. They're not trying to focus on a person's age, but naturally, as humans, we're doing that. We do that in everyday life. We look at people that are younger, and there's plenty of stereotypes that come with younger professionals as well. Like, they're flip floppy. We're gonna invest in them, and then they're gonna leave in like 8 months. So there's that. Now, I do want to end it with this note. There are a lot of advantages to hiring more experienced professionals. The number one thing is that generally older workers are going to be very professional. You're not going to have to teach them how to work, how to communicate with other people, how to just have some etiquette. Generally, older professionals are going to come in knowing that you don't need to teach them these things. Now, I've worked with younger professionals, and I've done a lot of that coaching of, like, this is elevator etiquette when we're in the workplace, of course, not all working remotely. These are some things that you want to keep in mind when you're emailing someone, whether it's a warehouse job, whether it's an office job. Older professionals, they know how to keep things buttoned up, professional, focused on the work, and all of that. So the next thing that I would say is a great thing about older professionals is they tend to like finding a really good company to work with and then staying there long term. Typically, you're going to hear them say, I want to be somewhere that I can grow with, somewhere that I'm going to stay for many years, somewhere I can retire from, down the line. They're more so thinking about the long term. And I think that's a great thing. As long as you have a person that is learning and growing with the company. I'm not talking about people that just want to kind of park it somewhere, do the same thing, not learn anything, and just do that same job forever and ever. But for people that are, looking to learn something new, and really grow with the company, I think that's a great asset. And the other thing that I will say is a really nice plus factor to having older workers is that they do have, oftentimes, they're going to have a variety of experience. They may have worked at different companies. They're going to bring a lot of knowledge with them, versus, folks who are just getting out of school. Everything, a lot of times what they've learned is either through internship, or if they have had some work experience, it's very light. Or sometimes you have the people that are very much academia. It's all what they learned in a book, and what you learn in a book is very different from what you actually do in the workplace. Very different. So there are these different advantages to older workers. So I do want to have that as an ending point of this video. And I saw some folks come in, so let me address some folks. Hi, JMJ. Welcome in. How are you? Yes, TJF. It is Friday. Hello. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thanks for coming in and giving me a like. I appreciate that. Yes, please do hit that like button. Hey, Victoriously Shay, and anyone in the chat, that is my cousin, and she is a content creator. And I think they're all content creators in the chat, except maybe one or two people in here. So please do, if you, and Victoriously Shay, I think, is doing are you doing makeup reviews too? It's like more vlogs focused. So if you're interested, please do check out Victoriously Shay. And let me see. Hey, Zero, welcome in. How are you? Hi, hope Zero finished those cookies he baked. I saw that. I saw that. Okay, Victoriously Shay, I am totally thinking of someone else. Wait a minute. Victoriously. Your YouTube name is very similar to my cousin. So Victoriously Shay, sorry, not my cousin, guys, but I think you are a content creator. Hold on. Yeah, you're a content creator. So still connect with Victoriously Shay, please. But you look, so my cousin has an Instagram or YouTube as well, and her name is Victoriously something. Let me see. I can't find her now, but her name is like Victorious or something. If I can think of it later, I'm gonna put it in my community tab. But yes, I did see those cookies. Let me see. Oh, you're still in here? Relax with Nature's Beauty. Thank you. So anyway, those were pretty much the tips. Let me just look at my notes here to make sure I didn't miss anything. So again, just to kind of recap the video, as far as ageism goes, it literally is just biases that we have when it comes to older people, and specifically older workers. So photos on the resume, that's a no-no always. Stop putting the pictures on your resume. We don't need to see it. We don't want to see it. Like, as recruiters, we do not want to see your picture so early on the process. Like, if you think of it, we're literally just looking at applications, reviewing to see if you have the right skill set. We are going to see you eventually, so we will know what you look like. But again, that advertisement, we do not need your job advertisement to show your picture. Unless you're in an industry like you're a model, you're going to be a news anchor, you're in one of those categories where they're actually critiquing your look. And I have not worked in those workplaces before, but like casting, that's completely different than what I'm talking about. So generally for us regular people, we don't need our pictures on our resume. Now, for LinkedIn, I will say you should be using a professional, nicely done photo on there, because it's networking. It's like if you were to go to a networking event but put it online, that's kind of LinkedIn in a snapshot. So you can definitely connect with different people, and they want to see your face. Next, avoid dates. No dates. when you're talking about your education, if it's way back, way, way back. Now, if you have recent experience or rather recent education, you just got an MBA, you just recently have gotten some certifications, please do highlight that on your resume because it shows that you're learning, you're a continuous learner. I think that's a great thing. But when it comes to you getting your bachelor's degree back in 2001, we don't need to know the date. Just put your degree, and you don't really need to highlight that degree unless you're changing industry. So if you're changing industry, that's going to be a bit different thing. But if you have legit work experience in the industry that you're trying to get a job in, you don't need to really highlight that education if it was, years ago. Because all that really does, you putting that date on there, is it tells me that you're over a certain age. People can do the math and we do it quickly. So, and then focus your experience. You don't need to highlight your experience from when you were in high school, when you were a cashier at Walmart, when you were doing this makeup gig back in the day, or whatever. If it's not related to what you're actually doing, you do not need to highlight it. And again, that's another opportunity someone has to kind of age you, like know your age before they've even seen you, before they even had that chance to talk with you. And again, with the resume, it's a job advertisement. You're advertising yourself so that you get that opportunity to speak with someone, because that's what's really going to push things forward, right? Once you actually get to talk to a person, you'll kind of find out, yes or no for moving forward, if it's the right opportunity or not. Once you can engage with an actual person, that's the game we're playing. We're trying to get you from the system of multiple people who have applied to actually talking to a real person, right? So that's the game. And then the last thing that I talked about was just sticking to 2 pages in your resume. We don't need a life story. We're not writing a book. We're writing a resume. We're writing a job advertisement. You're saying, this is me. This is Jessica on 2 pages or 1 page. This is why I'm so great for this specific job. So it's catered to this job, your resume is. And this is why you should want to talk to me and eventually hire me. That's all that the resume is for. It's not a book. Recruiters aren't sitting down getting all comfortable saying, ooh, let me look into Victoria's Cliche and learn about her history, her life story. Only because we don't have the time. Like, we have multiple people that we need to also review in an applicant system. And obviously we do want to get to everybody. So this is how things pan out. So leave the books to something else. If you want to write a book, you can definitely keep a kind of main resume that you can pull from. But when it comes to what you're applying to, stick to 2 pages or 1 page. Ideally 1 page, but I get it. You have a lot of experience. You may trickle onto 2 pages. The other thing that I addressed was just dealing with some of the myths. So we talked about using the right verbiage to really show that you're motivated, driven, energetic, willing to learn. And you're talking about instances where you were able to do that, and you can highlight it when you actually talk to someone. And also, this is another myth that didn't come up with this article, but I do want to bring it up quickly with the ability to change. That's another concern that a lot of times hiring managers will have. There's a lot of changes happening. You see this a lot with particularly IT, a lot of change happening. Can this person keep up? Will they be willing to change? Because another stereotype is that older professionals do not like change. They're less likely to adapt to changes. So have instances where you can talk about where you were an advocate for change, or you changed something yourself, or you pushed for a change that would make things more efficient in the workplace. Have examples of that, because that, again, we're easing those concerns. We're addressing these biases that people will naturally have about older professionals. And not everyone's going to have these biases, but generally they might. So I want my folks that watch my channel to be ready for that. So you want to be ready to talk about it. And then the other thing that came up that wasn't in this article either, I'm surprised they didn't address that, but this idea that older professionals may not work as well with others, specifically if they have a younger manager, if they're working with a younger team, that they may not work well because they kind of know they have this experience. They know what they kind of want to do things their own way, and they're less adaptable to working with other people. So one way to get around that is to actually, again, we're bringing examples of how we've been able to work with diverse teams and get along with others. And you may find that behavior-based questions where you can actually talk about a specific scenario can really help you through showcasing that and showing that you are willing to change, you're willing to work with other people, you're good at working with other people, you're collaborative, you like hearing other people's ideas and that sort of thing. So those are some of the myths as well about older professionals. And I just want folks that watch the channel, people that are on the job search specifically, or even if you're working in an environment and maybe you just want to make sure that you're not looked at in these different stereotypes, this can be useful to think about. So just kind of showcasing some of these things that are against the stereotypes. So I'm gonna look at a few comments here and then I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. Victoriously Shay is laughing at me because I thought you were my cousin. Who knows? Maybe we are cousins. You never know. Maybe I know on the inside. Who knows? Relax with Nature's Beauty. You're here. Oh, thank you. Oh, you didn't get my notification. Okay. And I'll have to check out your channel, Relax with Nature's Beauty. Let me see. Zero saying hi to everybody. Yeah, I saw those cookies as well. Like it flashed by, you know, Instagram, it'll show you a picture and then it updates. So I didn't get to really look at it, but I did see it for like a split second. Let me see here. The Polo Show. Hi, The Polo Show. Blessings to all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, well, I'm going to get off of here. Thank you guys for your time this afternoon. And if you know someone that's an older worker and they are in the job search right now, please do share this video with them or at least pass along these tips because I do not want folks to be affected by this. And I know that every group of people has their own struggle that they're dealing with when it comes to finding a job and when it comes to the workplace. And I want this video to be able to help that bucket of people. And hopefully, you know, it helps if you're watching a replay of this video and you use these tips, please do. If it helps you, come back, let me know. I would love to hear if these tips were useful for you. And with that, as always, I, will be sharing tips like this on the channel and having various discussions about common things that happen in the workplace. And I will also continue to be sharing jobs and companies that are hiring. So if you're interested in that type of content, please do hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so that you're actually getting notifications because I'm seeing people not getting notifications for my videos and when I go live. So definitely hit the bell and give this video a thumbs up. Please do work on the like button for me. And if you want to leave me a comment after this posts back up on the page, please do. And with that, I will let you all go. Happy Friday. I hope you have a safe weekend. And please do, I just put up a post on my community tab about self-care. So please address your self-care needs in every way. There's multiple ways that you can kind of replenish yourself and build a self-care kind of ritual this weekend in different aspects, whether that's like psychological, physical, emotional, whatever it may be. Please do take some time for self-care this weekend. And with that, lovely people, I hope you have a great day. Bye.